Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am mdrashaduzzaman Shawon, and today I am showing the containerization concepts, the Docker basics. So let's begin. Containerization is a technology that packages an application along with all the dependencies, libraries, and configuration files into a single unit called container. Unlike traditional virtualization, which runs multiple operating systems on one host, containers share the same OS kernel but remain isolated from each other. This makes them lightweight, faster to start, and ideal for DevOps pipelines and cloud deployments, ensuring apps run the same everywhere. The concept of containers begins in 1979 with Unix chroot, which isolated file systems. Later, Linux introduced LXC, Linux containers, in 2008. In 2013, Docker revolutionized container technology by making it developer friendly, portable, and open source. Today, Docker is the foundation of cloud native apps, develops automation, and microservice based architectures. This diagram shows how Docker using simple client server model. The Docker client or CLI is where we type commands like docker run or docker build. This command go through the Docker Engine REST API to the Docker Daemon, which runs in the background on Docker host. The Docker daemon does all the main work. It builds images, runs containers, manages networks, and handles storage. Inside the Docker host, we have the key Docker objects, images, blueprints of containers, containers running instance of images, networks connect containers together, volumes store persistent data. So in short, the client sends commands, the daemon executes them, and the host runs the containers and resources. These are some of the most used Docker commands. Docker run starts a container, Docker ps shows what's running, and Docker images list your available images. You can download new images using Docker pull or Docker build your own Docker build. To interact inside a running container, this Docker exec. Stop or remove containers using docker stop and docker rm. Finally, use docker logs to debug and docker inspect to check configuration details. Docker volumes help store data persistently. Even if you remove a container, the data stays safe. They're perfect for databases and when multiple containers need shared data. Docker networking enables containers to talk to each other. The bridge network is default for local containers. Host mode gives containers direct access to host network. None isolate them completely, and overlay connects containers across multiple Docker hosts, great for distributed systems. Now let's move to the part B. So for this process, let's turning on VirtualBox and run Ubuntu. After that, I'm logging in my account. Now let's run command sudo apt update and hit enter. Now giving my password. Update successful. Now running command sudo apt install curl. Installation successful. Now running command curl fsl http://get.docker.com get.docker.sh. Now see the list. Now running command sudo sh get.docker.sh. Now see the Docker version. Docker version. Yeah, my version is 28.5.2. Now see the Docker info. Yeah, here is the Docker info. First of all, go to your browser, then search for dockerhub. Go on the first site, then on the right side, click on sign up. Here, give your email. Now create a username and a password. Now click on sign up. Now give the username again and the password. Now hit continue. So here is your Docker account created successfully. Now for login, come back to the terminal and enter docker login. Now it gives a one-time device confirmation code. So we have to go to the logindocker.com. So let's go to the browser and search for the link login.docker.com/activate. Now hit enter. Now we have to enter our code. So my code is mzmgpxjx and hit continue and confirm. Now let's go back to the terminal. Yes, it says login succeed. Now for this process, run command sudo docker images. Here there is no images. Now let's pull images. Running command sudo docker pull nginx. Pulling these images. Now let's pull the images of mysql. Pull complete. Now pulling the images of redis. Completed. Now pulling the mongo. Now pulling httpd. Now let's again show sudo docker images. Yeah, this is the full images. At first, let's run sudo docker. Yes, no container is created. Now let's create container sudo docker run -d name Rashad nginx and the port number nginx. Now create another container sudo docker run directory name Rashid Apache and give it a port number httpd. Another docker is creating sudo docker run directory name Rashid redis and give it a port number 6379 and 6379. Let's create another one. Run directory name mongo port number 27017. Now let's check the container list. Yes, successfully created the 4 containers. Now for this, we have to run command sudo docker volume create Rashid volume, giving my password, volume created. Now sudo docker volume list. Yes, volume created successfully. Now let's run the command sudo docker run directory name Shawon mysql root password equal to root volume name. Now hit enter. Now let's run the command sudo docker volume inspect the volume. Here we can see the mount point. Now sudo ls running the mount point var lib docker slash volume slash Rashid volume slash data. Now sudo docker network list. Now let's create a network. Sudo docker network create mynet. Now let's see the list. Yes, created successfully. Sudo docker directory name web and give in the network mynet, and let's create another one. Directory name wb and mysql password root password go to root mysql. Let's run the command sudo docker exec -it web bash. Yes, it comes to the root. Now ping db c4. Ping command not found. Don't worry. You have to run another command apt upgrade apt install input ping. Now let's run the command again ping db. Yeah, ping created. Now exit and let's run sudo docker network inspect mynet. Yeah, here we can see the containers in mynet web and db. Now sudo docker history nginx. Here is the history. Now let's run another command sudo docker logs nginx. So here is the log. So thank you for watching the video. I hope you liked it.